This is Next Radio 2017 with Broadcast Bionics.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you. Radioplayer is a collaborative radio platform that's now in 8 countries around the world. It was launched in the UK to start with, and it's our job to make listening easier on connected devices. I'm going to talk to you today about 3 strategic areas that we've chosen that enable us to fit in to complement the work of the radio industry. We're very conscious of these areas, and we're also very proud of the small team and the projects that we do in these areas, so I'm going to talk to you a bit about those as well. The first one is this, radio in cars. You heard Joe D'Angelo earlier say, the radio is no longer front and center in the dashboard. It's no longer the primary means of entertainment in a car. And that's a real danger to us. So we're doing several things in this area. We launched a big piece of research about a year ago, which proves conclusively that that radio is crucial to drivers. We make sure our streaming apps integrate well with new dashboard systems like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and shortly in the next app release, a thing called Smart Device Link. Smart Device Link was launched by Ford, then open sourced and is now used by Toyota as well. We think it's going to be huge, so we're making sure our apps integrate well with it. We build stuff as well, like the Radioplayer car system, which is a hybrid aftermarket product that we launched last year. That taught us an enormous amount about that last point, which is metadata. What sort of data, logos, streams, FM bearer information, DAB multiplex information, what sort of metadata does a radio need in order to look great and be simple to operate? Which brings me to our partnership with Audi. This is the Audi A8. It's a fantastic looking car, and it's got a great looking hybrid radio inside as well, powered by data from Radioplayer. We also send that data to DTS, Joe mentioned it earlier, and to other places too, and other car companies shortly as well. Now, the way it works is this. It's called the Worldwide Radioplayer API. And down the left-hand side there, those 3 buckets represent the 8 Radioplayer countries. That metadata in those buckets is turned into one feed. So a connected car can make a query and access that data very easily. But this is not an open API. It's not just anyone who can rock up and take this data. It's got a key, and we only give that key to car companies that agree to do the right thing. So this is where we get some strategic traction on car companies. As a radio industry, we can require them, in return for this valuable data, to do a few things. We say there must always be a physical button marked radio on the dashboard. Joe mentioned earlier, that's beginning to disappear in some cars. We think it's really important. We think that car companies should not be remonetizing radio content in any way, so we ban that. We make sure car companies respect your logos and your streams and your assets and your brands. And also we make sure that in a hybrid situation, that's one where you can switch between DAB, FM, and streaming, we prioritize broadcast. DAB and FM are cheaper for the listener and cheaper for the broadcaster. Now, that's not the only way that we get great data into cars. Radio DNS is a fantastic open international standard for radio metadata, so we support that as well. And this is how our Radioplayer systems feed it. Down the left, you can see the systems. We make sure that the logos are adapted for use in the Radio DNS standard, store them locally, and then a car can query those when it needs them. And Ireland is in the middle there because this week we're going to be turning on this system for Ireland. So all the Irish Radioplayer stations will be for the first time available in the Radio DNS open standard. Second area of strategic importance is this. The connected home devices or smart speakers. This is the smart speaker test bench in the Radioplayer office. We spend a lot of time shouting at small plastic cylinders. I'm going to share with you a couple of things we've done recently in this space. The Amazon Echo on the right-hand side there, we work very, very closely with Amazon, and we've recently improved the Radioplayer skill on Amazon so that you can ask what's playing right now. Alexa, ask Radioplayer to play 6 music.
Now playing BBC Radio 6 music on Radioplayer.
Alexa, ask Radioplayer what's playing.
You are listening to Californian Light by Childhood on Lauren Laverne. Katy Patrick sits in BBC Radio 6 music.
Alexa, stop. Now that seems very simple. Actually, that was a huge amount of work to get it to that point where you can just ask what's playing. Sonos in the middle is a brilliant multi-room speaker system. We've just integrated all 8 Radio Player countries with Sonos. So if you've got one at home, find Radio Player, give it a go. It sounds really good. And in the background there is a TV plugged into a Google Chromecast dongle. So I'm just going to show you a little bit how Radio Player is integrated with that system. So I can go into the Radio Player app on my phone. I can select a station, like Apple, for instance. Now if I start casting, the TV starts receiving the audio from my phone. And what you can see there on the screen is what we call the live feed. It's a feed we've created, a montage of album art from the radio stations, tracks they've recently played, and social media posts like Facebook and Twitter from that station too. That you can also see in our apps. That's the Radio Player app running on an iPad. And that's the third area of strategic importance I want to talk to you about, our own apps and players. Why does Radio Player have apps and players? Well, it's why we were launched 7 years ago. The web player that we launched first made listening easier on laptops and PCs. Now, discovery is really important for us. We've built a fantastic recommendation engine which bubbles up live stations and catch-up content for people. That third one, I've talked to you about it already a little bit, making sure our apps integrate well. They bridge into systems like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and Chromecast. That fourth one, 2 weeks ago, we launched a new analytics engine for radio. It's a kind of stats dashboard, an insights tool, and it's meant to help programmers and producers see the patterns of listening across their radio stations. So I've got some graphs that stations have very kindly given us permission to show. This is 3FM on the Isle of Man. A few weeks ago, they ran a really interesting competition to win some Blu-ray sunglasses. Not Blu-ray, what are they called? Ray-Bans. Ray-Ban sunglasses. Whatever. At 3:45, the DJ started giving out the clue and was able to watch in real time that huge spike of listening building, almost doubling the reach to that radio station. Gave them a real reassurance that what they were doing was working. This is LBC on the web player during the Brexit discussions before the referendum. And you can see, first of all, the great preponderance of middle daytime listening that's driven by that web player, that browser player listening. You can also see the great power of a fantastic presenter, James O'Brien, a man at the top of his game, intelligent, capable, and there's Nigel Farage. Now, the BBC gave us permission to use a couple of slides as well. And they have very characteristic schedules for their national networks, so they produce very characteristic shapes for the graphs. So I thought we'd play a quick game. I'm going to put a BBC national network up on the screen. You're going to shout out which one it is. Radio 4, of course. You can see what they call the hammocking between today, world at 1, PM, world tonight. Bonus point, who can tell me what the spike is towards the end there? The Archers, absolutely, the Archers. This is a bit of a weird one. BBC National Network. Who said Sports Extra? Well done. 5 Live Sports Extra, off air most of the time, on air, massive during a match, goes away again. Final thought, a lot of people ask me about Radio Player and TuneIn. What is the difference between Radio Player and TuneIn? There is clear blue water between the two, and I want to talk to you about why and how. I have a huge amount of respect for TuneIn. They do some great things on a global scale, but they're different from what we're trying to do. First of all, we're optimized for each country. Caroline's here from Radio Player Germany. We work very closely with these people in all our territories to make sure that Radio Player is flexible enough to work for that country. TuneIn is just a global model. We're committed to hybrid. We think DAB, FM, and IP, smart radios which can switch between the three is the way to go, and TuneIn is just about streaming. We are non-profit, and we're owned by broadcasters, and we believe that the commercial relationship should stay 100% between the listener and the broadcaster. And TuneIn is a for-profit enterprise, and they do commercialize over the top. And this last one, I hope you've seen that we help the radio industry take back control a little bit about the user experience in the dashboard. Now, that is a phrase we've heard recently. There's Boris in his Brexit bandwagon talking about taking back control. I hope you've seen, though, that Radioplayer is actually the philosophical opposite of Brexit. You know, we are strategic, we are constructive, we are collaborative. So I'm just going to tweak that. I've changed that for you, Boris. So that's a better phrase, and it's a better thought to go out with. And if you're from a country that doesn't have Radioplayer yet, that's how to get in touch with me, and we'll chat about that. Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much.